So my name is Kudz. My full name is Kudzanai. And I wanted to just come and share my experience in how I leveraged Firebase in order to build my streaming application, my music streaming application. Um, this journey for me started 3 years ago. Actually, let me discuss my background. My background is actually in business. I went to school for business. I majored in international business. I was by no shape a techie. I just had an idea that I wanted to create, and I found myself playing around with some of these tools, and today we are here. So yeah, so Streama is a music application that I came up with in 2017 whilst I was still in school as a business student. It was just an idea where I had, as an immigrant, I had a tough time trying to find some of the music from back home. You had to visit tens of websites to just, compile like a list of 100 songs. And some of this stuff was not readily available on some of our popular music streaming platforms, at the time at least. So I just said, you know what, it would be a nice idea to start a website or some solution where we can be able to, distribute this music and make it available for other people who are also outside of the country or in the country trying to get access to the latest tracks. So, off we went. I started, the easiest way to start at that point was to, kick off a WordPress blog. All we used to do was just create a little article, add the link of the new song that we found somewhere online. We write about it, then, we post it. But, at the time from 2016, 2017, there was a transition of how people were interacting with music and media, Netflix, Spotify. People didn't have time to be reading articles. If you're going to give me music, give me music. So I also wanted to start making that transition to make an app or a website that was solely about the music. You come in, you search for a song, and you find it. But being on WordPress and not being too very technical, I had to rely on the infrastructure that was there. So you use plugins. But the thing with those plugins, they were not full solutions. If you wanted to implement one, you had one feature in mind, you ended up using like 4 or 5 plugins just to do one thing. Customizing the themes to the point where the site was so bloated. We actually ended up at a point where I probably had more than 60 plugins, and each of these plugins probably bring in 3 to 5 scripts. The site already has its own scripts, maybe 10 scripts. So you can imagine the site's downloading hundreds of scripts, and you used to actually wait, and there'll be a white screen there, and those who were patient enough and really needed the song would wait for the page to load. So it became obvious to me that I needed to go and get someone to help me build out this website. Maybe someone who knows WordPress or a full developer who could just help me rebuild it from the start, because whatever I had done clearly wasn't working properly. But that was a new challenge on its own. At the time, being a student, I only knew other students. I approached a few people who were freelancers, but they quoted me thousands. I didn't even have $1,000 in school, probably $100 or so. So that route was already out of the window. I didn't really know any developers. So I was stuck with that bulky, slow website. And, it became very evident to me, or it's a question that started to come to me. I said, why am I even using this? I'd heard of other solutions, and I was not questioning, should I go somewhere else? Should I use another platform? I tried Wix. That was its own problem altogether. It just didn't work for this problem set that I had. And as I mentioned, these are some of the situations I was having. Heavy reliance on plugins, very slow page loads. And another big issue that started to come up there, because we had uploaded so many songs, we physically had to store those MP3 files that we were uploading to the site. And at the time, we had a hosting service. I believe it was called TSO Hosting, at the time we were on a package where they had maxed us out at 300 gigs. So we really couldn't upload much anymore. So we had to come up with a new solution of setting up our file storage. And all these problems really were pushing me into a corner where I either had to understand this technical field, or I had to get someone else, a partner, or someone who could help me. So I eventually just had no option but to learn how to code and build it myself. And I did this in silence. I did not tell anybody. None of my friends knew. I just said, you know what, I'm really frustrated about this. I'll learn how to do it, even if it takes me half a year. That's just the path that I have to take. Lo and behold, I was actually able to learn how to code pretty fast. Learned some JavaScript, some HTML, CSS. Within about a month and a half, I think I had enough skills to kind of, break my way in there and build, something somewhat functional. And lucky enough, I managed to understand how React framework worked. So I went with that, and I started building, the basic markup of the website, designing it and everything. But I soon ran into newer issues. I didn't have a database to store my data. I didn't have the hosting. I didn't have a backend, no storage. So now I had to go out there once again to find out, okay, Kudz, what are we going to do about this? Where do we implement some sort of, Apache database? I don't know. All of these solutions I was seeing online were just a little bit above my understanding, because I'd only been coding for a while. So I didn't even know what Apache and all these database things were. So I once again started scouring on YouTube, endless. I think I watched every video, Traversy videos, and then lo and behold, after a couple of weeks of scouring, I bumped into Firebase, which I call the miracle from heaven. And literally, this guy in the picture has a channel on YouTube called The Coding Train. He teaches a bunch of stuff from machine learning all the way to basic JavaScript. And he really helped me. I remember when he was presenting this idea of Firebase and the different options he had for setting up a database, everything he was saying about the service made sense. It was addressing some little problem that I was having with my platform. And I was like, you know what? Even if they can give me 3 solutions of all these problems that I have, that would really help me a lot. So I started reading through their documentation. I read everything. Some of it I didn't understand at the time, but it was, I got to a point where I kind of understood how to get kickstarted, start a database, start pushing some stuff in there. And yeah, that was really the turning point for me. So these are some of the services that I utilized at the beginning. I was using their authentication, the database, the functions were really replacing those plugins that we were using, the hosting, self-explanatory, and the storage. So I'll go ahead and I'll just describe these features, how we use them, and how I believe they were helpful for us. So yeah, the real-time databases. If you've used Firebase, you know all this stuff. But the databases are very simple, no SQL. It can be accessed through the web or through your code base. They have an SDK, a web SDK that you can access in your application or in your backend services. And this was very good because I had never built a database. I'd never worked with databases. So you can imagine this is my first time speaking this language. So the web interface was really my way of getting into this. I could click around. I could, the amount of times I deleted my own databases was shocking. I think I did that like 5 times where I'd delete something by accident, and then I come back and I build it all up again. But it's a very simple. Once I kind of grasped the concepts, I was able to now move on to implement it in my code and move on with. As you know, the NoSQL databases is a tree-like structure, so it's very free to actually build up my own data structures. Before I knew what that even meant, I was able to build out exactly what I wanted because the tools were there and they allowed me to do that. And most importantly, there was no need to set up a server. At that point, if you told me that I need to deploy a server, you'd have been speaking Greek or some other language to me. I didn't know about DigitalOcean, deploying to Heroku, and all kinds of things. So this was a perfect scenario, a perfect situation for me, really. For those who have never used it, this is what it looks like. You have your songs database here, and then you have the children right here with the unique keys. So those unique keys are essentially a row in a row in a table, in an SQL table, and then you have your properties in there. Just looking at it, for me, that made sense. I could understand what's going on there. The documentation was very self-explanatory. So yeah, and as you can see here, we also have real-time syncing, which allows you to essentially do anytime something changes in the database or specific on a specific property or reference. Whenever something changes, you can get notification. You can get those real-time updates. You don't have to refresh your page. So if you add a new object into or a new row into your table, you don't have to refresh the page. As long as you're subscribed, the database sends those updates to you, and you can see just the simplicity that I'm referring to here. That's 3 lines. Essentially, you could say that is 1 line of code. You have your database object, you subscribe to it, and you say, hey, when something is added, run this function, and then that's the new thing that's changed. And in my case, that was a song. When I add a new song, or do something, say someone's scrolling through the front page, if there's new music that's been added, it should update that list at the top. There are many use cases that someone could use these in the real world. Maybe you're streaming metrics, you're doing reporting, maybe you have live updates for scores, for sports, or I don't know, maybe even in finance where prices are changing, stock markets, and those kind of things. People can't just be refreshing the page. You could write a few scripts and you could be getting real-time updates, and all your clients would be getting this. So it is a testament of the simplicity of what these guys were able to do. So yeah, I'll just give a quick demo. I will not play around too much, but just so you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. So this is the Firebase dashboard. Just bring it out here. You have your console here on the left, your authentication, your databases, your Firestore and real-time, your storage, and your hosting. In this case, it's the real-time databases. There we go. So you see we have an empty database tree right here, and this is what I was doing when I started, right? I'll come in here, I'll enter in a new record, and, boom. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here, and I'll keep playing around with it. You can create more robust data structures. You can add arrays in there. You can add a person, add a name. Yeah, and this is the simplicity of it. It looks like a joke in the beginning, but very quickly, this tree could be a person with family members, with siblings. You could have IDs. You could add indexes in there. You can do a lot with that. And that was very powerful. So I did a little demo, little simple application of what that real-time update looks like. So you can see the database right there. I'll just clean it up a little bit. I have a little thing running on my local environment. So just say hello. Boom. It shows up in the database. You can continue to add stuff. And this is simple functionality that when you're thinking about a product, you're not thinking in technical terms. You're just saying, okay, I need something that does this, that does this. And if you delete something, it updates automatically on your UI, just like that. Done. We have not had to write more than 15 lines of code. Can you just confirm if you guys can see my editor right now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe if you can make it a little bit bigger, like Shift plus.
Okay, sure. Okay. That's a bit too much.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, you don't really, again, picture this from someone who just started. Yeah, it's a bit frightening at the beginning, but that is simple. I have my database here. I say, listen for new messages. If something is added, render it. If something is deleted, remove it. And, I have the functions of how to do that down here, of course. But it's clean, it's simple, and it's straightforward. And that's what I loved about it. And even the HTML, it's your basic stuff. That's all the HTML that's there. So even if you need to teach someone this, it's not too confusing. And I think that's what it's all about. This platform, you need to be able to get up and running very quickly. Firebase Storage, another big issue that we were having. Storing those MP3 files was very key, because if we don't have storage, then that's it, it's done. So it's the same infrastructure that it's built on Google Cloud Storage. It's the same infrastructure that powers Spotify and Google Photos. So it's really very robust. You're able to upload and do downloads. You can use the drag and drop interface, or you can use the code base. And once again, just to show how simple that is as well, in terms of your code base. Where is it? Yeah, there you go. So this is the storage, the Firebase storage here. I already had something in there. We'll just delete that. So it's very instant, it's very simple, and I'll show you what the code looks like. Just upload a picture, wait for it a couple of seconds. It should be done. Oh, I have to upload it. Yeah, my bad. Let's give it a few seconds. And there you go. It's in there. And these are like little building blocks. And as I was doing this, I could already picture what I could build with it. And then you go again and you look at what the code looks like. When I click upload, it hits this upload files function, and that's it. It just grabs the file, boom, pushes it. That you don't need to be that smart to figure some of this stuff out. So again, that's another testament of how simple it was, and that's what I was seeing at that time, at least for me. And that's that web interface. We have our folders, you have your artist profile covers, you have your playlist images, your song artwork, as I showed there. And next, we have hosting. Hosting was very important again, because we were now beginning to, our cost was now tied to the storage. So we're paying a lot of money that I didn't have at the time. My budget was very tight. Wasn't working that much. So I needed something that was simple, had a bit of a free tier, so that I could be able to test out my stuff and kind of learn and get to the point where I can start to go and either raise money or get some money to be able to back this thing. But before then, I was not even able to do that, because even in testing, I was paying hundreds of dollars. But now I have this option. It's easy to deploy. Caching, I don't have to worry about caching. It's already deployed to Google's CDN across the world. My users are in Zimbabwe, thousands of miles away. So this is very helpful. I believe they have CDNs in South Africa, which is just a couple of hours away. So, people don't have to wait for 10 years for the page to download, because that was literally the situation. SSL was built in. I don't have to worry about that. Honestly, if I had to worry about SSL at that time, since I was building it on my own, again, I don't know what language that is. I didn't understand that. So all these are tools that are very helpful for me. The next one and the last one is cloud functions. These are just the same thing, or pretty similar to Lambda on AWS. You write a little bit of code that does a specific task, and you deploy it, and you can execute it through HTTP. And I already write JavaScript. I kind of understand TypeScript. This is in my ballpark. So I had these little tasks. I want to send some emails. I want to run some metrics. I want to do little jobs that I don't necessarily want to hard code into the website. I just need to quickly write it and upload it, because it might change in the future, or I might combine those little services with something else. So functions were amazing. At that, I remember I probably had like 20 of these running at the same time. Another beautiful thing is that these cloud functions, they work hand in hand with every application that Firebase offers. As you can see on the right here, you can use your functions to react to your authentication, your analytics, your storage, PubSub, and whatnot. And for me, I was using them for the database. Whenever I upload a new object to the database on a specific reference or specific object, I'll tell my function, hey, listen for this. If I upload something here or I delete something, cross-reference it, check what's going on, index it. If I upload an image to storage, in Zimbabwe, data is very expensive, extremely expensive. We're talking people have to buy their storage, $1 a day, and they get 100 megabits. So if that's what people are working with, I cannot afford then. I have to think about in terms of when they load that first homepage, there's going to be a lot of pictures there, high quality images that are a megabyte each or even more. So if I have 100 songs there, that's 100 megabits before they've even played the song. And storage allowed me to upload stuff and then create little thumbnails. So I don't need to write a compression algorithm or compression code. I just create a function that listens, and Google already adds this in. They already have, Firebase already has some of this code base. So you can just copy and paste it, you add it in there, and off we go. We've saved our users' data, and off we go to the next problem. And you can schedule them to run periodically. At the end of the month or every week, I might need a little job that I do where I'm counting something or I'm balancing off my accounting. That's another thing. We're doing our own accounting using QuickBooks. So you have to do your own double entries and all of that stuff. So I have a function that jumps in and does some of that stuff to make sure everything is okay. If there's any errors, we look at them and we reconcile. Yeah, so this is not a demo. This is essentially just showing you what we were able to build with that. That you can actually build a real product on top of this infrastructure. So this is our platform, Strma. We have our artist corner where our artists are able to upload music right here. And then this is the music player. So as you can see, there's a lot of pictures loading here. So that could really eat up a lot of data for people. So those are compressed if you're using the mobile application. You can search. You can search, you can open playlists, you can play your music, there you go. So, and all this is built off those exact features I just showed you. So you can really build something that's robust, you can do your authentication, just like that. And then this is our artist platform, again, hosted on, uses Firebase all the way. Those metrics, we keep them coming in real time. People are able to come in. And again, think of it in the context of Africa where there hasn't been a solution that's that solid. We're able to actually give people a solution now. You can edit your account, you can come in, you can chat with support. Remember, I was discussing that real-time situation. I can reply to someone and it's instant. So there's that messaging effect. So you see that all those little features, they easily come together to build something that's a bit more robust. So, bringing it all together, if I haven't said it 1,000 times, Firebase is an all-in-one solution for people to go from idea to production, idea to that solution that you've been thinking of. It's not about spending time and years worrying about infrastructure and stressing out. You know, if I can be a business guy and quickly learn how to code and interact with this, then that means everybody can do it. They're way more smarter people than me. So it's a great tool. You know, currently I've kind of moved out of that developing and coding role. We're now kind of getting back to business now. And we now have 5,000 weekly users on the website, and it's growing. I launched the Android app, which also sits on the same infrastructure. Launched that 3 days ago. So we're also looking to grow that. You know, we plan to, you know, to launch the platform to 1 million users plus. You know, our team is growing. There's not just one developer anymore. It's not just me in my bedroom coding. There are other people who are contributing and adding code to the system. So that very quickly starts introducing newer challenges and allows us now to grow our infrastructure even more while still sitting on Firebase. And one of the features that we've implemented, there's many things that we've implemented, but one of the things that I've implemented was switching over from Firebase hosting and implementing Cloud Run. So no longer use Firebase hosting. I don't deploy there anymore. We package our code, push it to GitHub, and it goes into Cloud Run, and it's pushed to the staging environment. Why this was important was, in the beginning, I was one developer. I could afford to push there and send it to a couple hundred people. But now that there's thousands of users, and very soon hundreds of thousands and even millions, I can't just push a feature directly to 10,000 people whenever I update it, right? We need something like a canary deployments where everything is deployed to 0%, and then we slowly roll it out to 15%. If it's working, we go to full rollout. If it's not, we can come back down. And as you can see, we now have that staging environment and production. And again, keep your mindset on, this is a guy who was not coding before. We now have that little CI/CD for the remote developers, and to kind of automate things, because we're deploying many things. We're deploying Android apps. Those are also automated as well. So it's very necessary, especially in this environment that we're in, where we can't really meet up as teams as much. Another interesting one is cloud workflows. As I mentioned earlier, we have 20, 30, 40 cloud functions all running at the same time. Sometimes it's not even me who's deploying these cloud functions. So it can become a mess very quickly in terms of how to organize these things. So I found out about cloud workflows, and it's a very nice way of organizing those functions or those processes that are part of these workflows that have a series of steps and they're related together. And, you know, an example is monthly billing. When every month we have to go and bill our users. So once we bill them, we have to do some accounting, email the user receipts, do some other metric stuff, and then return something. We can nicely we can describe that in a YAML file. And from there, this workflow can then go individually and call these services and pass that data down. And we can actually design the flow of information, and you can visually see on the right here what that looks like. And that's very helpful, again, because what we want is an efficient way of delivering our service, you know, whilst also making sure that our infrastructure is not getting too sophisticated and too complicated to manage, because then that takes away attention from what we are trying to achieve. So this is our current infrastructure. It's we have our client apps. All our websites are now on Cloud Run, except for one or two that we're running experiments on. And then from those Cloud Run services, we access our Firebase. We no longer have Firebase hosting here. We still access storage, functions, database, and authentication. We also use push notifications and analytics. But that's where we're at right now. As you can see, we push our code to Git. It goes to Cloud Build, and then it's pushed into as a container to Cloud Run. Our workflows, as you can see, are invoked, on a periodical basis. They're scheduled, so that's very nice. So essentially, Firebase, for me, when I get asked what it means, it's something that has actually allowed me to express what I wanted to express all this time. I didn't know the language, I didn't know how to speak it, but I was able to come up with an idea, build it in my bedroom, start small and get big. Now this can go anywhere. Now we can hire developers, we can get some money, and we can do some very sophisticated stuff. So for me, I'm very excited about what we've been able to do with Firebase, and I encourage people who have ideas, who are not too technical, or even if you are technical and you're looking for a simple way of pushing your web applications onto the net. This might be something you might want to consider. As far as my relationship is concerned with Firebase, I would say it's a happy marriage. I'm optimistic about the future. Streamer wants to grow big. We want to be the Spotify of Africa. I hope this talk has been very helpful for someone, and I'm welcome to questions. Thank you very much.